Every single time you step into an airport, someone is already reading you. Before your ticket is scanned, before your shoes come off, before you even realize it, TSA officers have already formed an impression of who you are, how you feel, and whether you're hiding something. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on what the Transportation Security Administration actually sees, and the 11 things they instantly notice about you before you fly. These aren't guesses, they're behavioral cues, psychological tells, and subtle signals that reveal more than most travelers imagine. By the end of this video, you'll not only know what they look for, you'll understand how to pass through security like a pro. Let's begin your clearance. Welcome to Journey Genius. Human eyes move roughly 3 times per second, but anxious eyes, they dart, hesitate, or fixate. The very first thing most TSA officers clock is eye behavior. When you approach the checkpoint, their subconscious radar picks up on where your eyes go. The scanner, the officer, the floor. People who feel guilty often avoid sustained eye contact altogether. Others overcompensate, staring too long, trying to seem calm. TSA training modules teach officers to spot micro-fixations, those fleeting glances at bags, shoes, or cameras that indicate concern. Psychology angle. Our eyes lead our attention. If your attention is fractured, stress leaks out through your gaze. Tip for smart travelers. Look naturally forward. Engage politely when addressed. Don't overperform calmness. Authenticity registers as confidence. And if you think they're just glancing at your passport, wait till you hear what they pick up from your shoes. Footwear isn't fashion here, it's forensic data. Officers notice footwear because it tells a quick story. Practicality, culture, and preparedness. Heavy work boots or brand new hiking shoes, they suggest travel purpose. Slippers or untied sneakers, possibly fatigue, possibly distraction. But it's not the shoe type alone, it's how you stand in them. Feet close together, more nervous or defensive. 1 foot back, or ready to move quickly. Constant weight shifting, or agitation. A 2019 TSA Behavioral Detection Manual actually lists abnormal stance or pacing as a mild indicator for secondary screening. Travel wisdom. When waiting, plant your feet shoulder-width apart, breathe steadily, and keep movements minimal. TSA isn't judging style, they're reading stability. Next time you line up for the scanner, remember, before you even reach the tray, your posture has spoken. Hands betray tension faster than faces. TSA officers are trained to notice pre-flight fidgeting, fingers tapping bags, clenched knuckles, excessive phone checking. Why? Because hands are honest. They either prepare or protect. Someone worried might keep a hand close to a pocket, or constantly touch a bag zipper. In behavioral science, this is called self-soothing, micro-actions that reduce stress. To an officer, it can mean anxiety, but it can also mean travel fatigue. So how do they tell the difference? If you're fidgeting and avoiding eye contact and sweating, that's a pattern. One sign alone rarely triggers concern. The clusters do. Tip: occupy your hands purposefully. Hold your passport and boarding pass confidently. Not like fragile glass. Small calm motions project assurance. You greet the officer. You say hello. In that 2-second exchange, your voice tells a story. TSA staff listen for tone shifts, too quiet, too high-pitched, overly formal, or sarcastic. Each can signal stress or defensiveness. This doesn't mean they're suspicious of politeness. It means consistency matters. A relaxed traveler answers fluidly.
Officer, where are you headed today? Nervous traveler. Home. Home. It's not about guilt. It's about comfort with process.
Psych insight. Under pressure, the human larynx tightens, raising vocal pitch. Officers know that involuntary tells can accompany fear, not crime. Pro tip: slow your response pace. 1 breath before answering equals confidence. At a glance, they read your luggage like a diary. TSA screeners and officers notice brand stickers, baggage condition, and organization level. A chaotic open bag signals disorganization, not a violation, but it cues how smoothly your screening may go. A bag packed too tightly may trigger a manual search, because X-rays can't penetrate dense layers evenly. Behind the scenes, officers visualize contents in 3D X-ray shades: orange for organic matter, blue for metal, green for plastic. When they see overlapping densities, they call for a rescan. So when they glance at you while your bag is inside the machine, they're linking your demeanor with what's showing on screen. Tip: pack neatly, use transparent toiletry pouches, and avoid last-minute stuffing. It saves time and conveys composure. This one shocks many travelers. TSA doesn't read your messages, but they do notice how you handle your tech. If you hesitate before removing a laptop, double-check cords nervously, or glance around before placing devices in bins, it registers subconsciously. Officers have also become adept at spotting power bank clutter or modified devices, not because of privacy invasion, but because certain modifications can mimic restricted equipment. Curiosity beat. They can often tell if you're an anxious student, business traveler, or tourist purely by the stickers or wear patterns on your tech gear. Travel hack. Before arriving, unplug and untangle. Present gadgets swiftly. Efficiency equals confidence, and confidence equals fewer delays. Long before you hit the X-ray, you're being observed casually from the podium line. Officers positioned at angles monitor flow, not to intimidate, but to ensure rhythm and detect anomalies. They watch spacing between passengers, whisper patterns, head turns. Someone constantly checking others' bags or the exit may draw extra attention. Behavioral fact. 90% of communication is nonverbal. A relaxed traveler maintains average personal distance, mirrors the pace of the line, and keeps a neutral facial expression. But the strongest tell TSA notices isn't your body, it's your energy. That's coming next. TSA training includes emotional intelligence segments. Officers learn to sense the difference between ordinary pre-flight stress and avoidance anxiety. Energy is contagious. A single agitated traveler can shift the tone of a checkpoint. Officers rely on intuition, built from thousands of interactions. If your aura screams urgency, frantic checking, muttering, heavy sighs, they'll engage gently, not accuse. But engagement itself is part of assessment. Psych insight. Humans emit micro-expressions lasting under 1/5 of a second. Happiness, fear, contempt, each flickers and vanishes. Experienced officers catch those flashes subconsciously. Travel wisdom, center yourself. Music, deep breathing, hydration. Calmness keeps energy steady. Steady energy keeps scrutiny minimal. When you hand over a passport or ID, your micro-movements tell 1,000 tales. TSA officers observe grip strength, hesitation, hand tremor, and the order in which you present documents. Frequent flyers usually have everything aligned. ID on top, ticket behind. First-timers fumble, that's normal. What stands out is over-rehearsal, a stiff, robotic presentation. Tip. Handle documents naturally. A slight smile, direct eye line, firm handover. It reads as ease. Hook to next. But there's one thing that even seasoned travelers forget. TSA officers also notice what you wear on your face. Our faces are storyboards of emotion. Under the fluorescent airport lighting, stress shows fast. Tightened jawlines, shallow breathing, forced smiles. TSA officers quickly register discord between facial expression and body tone. A smile with stiff shoulders looks unnatural. Behavioral science. When anxiety spikes, the corrugator supercilii, the brow muscle, contracts involuntarily, creating the micro-frown, an ancient sign of alertness. Practical takeaway. You don't need to grin your way through security. Just relax facial muscles periodically, exhale, release the jaw. Authentic neutrality feels safe to everyone around you. But the 11th thing TSA officers notice, and perhaps the most surprising, isn't about your body at all. It's about your story, the invisible data trail that travels with you, your itinerary, timing, and choices. In the next part, we'll decode how officers piece together a traveler's narrative in seconds, and how understanding that process makes every flight smoother. When you finally reach the conveyor belt and start unloading your belongings, every little move you make becomes a behavioral clue. TSA officers are trained to pick up micro-gestures, quick, almost invisible movements that reveal what your words don't. Touching your face repeatedly. It's a classic sign of discomfort, shuffling your feet while waiting. That often means internal tension. Even how you hold your boarding pass, tightly crumpled or neatly flat, can show if you're nervous or calm. These officers aren't psychologists, but they receive instruction rooted in behavioral detection analysis. They learn that body language often betrays hidden emotions, guilt, anxiety, or even overconfidence. The goal isn't to catch innocent people acting awkwardly, it's to spot patterns, the difference between a normal traveler rushing through security and someone who's hiding something more. What's wild is that many of these techniques trace back to Cold War espionage training, the same observation tactics once used to catch spies. There's another kind of behavior TSA quietly watches for, the overly calm, overly prepared traveler, the person who avoids eye contact entirely, moves robotically, or rehearses every move too precisely. To the untrained eye, that might look like professionalism, but to a security expert, it can read as controlled anxiety. someone who's trying too hard not to stand out. There's a psychological concept called the paradox of concealment. The harder you try to hide something, the more unnatural your actions become. So, ironically, acting too perfect can be just as suspicious as acting nervous. You may notice officers occasionally rechecking people who look calm and organized. That's not random. They're evaluating whether that calmness is authentic or rehearsed. And that brings us to one of the most underestimated things TSA officers analyze: your eyes. Even with masks and sunglasses in play these days, your eyes tell the real story. TSA officers learn to observe eye contact, direction, and dilation. Looking down and avoiding contact could signal fear or guilt. Looking directly but too intently, possible aggression or hyper-awareness. Rapid blinking or scanning around, often tied to adrenaline spikes, the body's stress response. But here's what's fascinating: seasoned officers know how context changes everything. A first-time traveler lost in a huge terminal will look around frantically, and that's normal. A frequent flyer doing the same thing at a familiar gate, however, stands out. That's why TSA doesn't rely on any one signal. It's the cluster of behaviors that tells the truth. Hook. In fact, there's an internal TSA phrase: 1 signal means nothing, 3 means something. They're not just watching, they're quietly collecting patterns piece by piece.
Narrator. When an officer suddenly asks you, "Where are you headed today?" it might feel casual. But that question, and how you answer it, is a tiny behavioral test. Officer. Where are you headed today?
Narrator. Your words aren't what matter most, it's your tone and timing. People who are hiding something often pause slightly before answering, their brain doing a quick truth check. Some smile unnaturally, or speak too fast as if to rush past the topic.
Narrator. TSA officers are taught to notice how quickly you respond and whether your words match your body language. Traveler. Sample. I'm going to visit family.
Narrator. It's not about suspicion, it's about establishing baselines, how you act when calm versus when questioned, because once they know your baseline, any deviation stands out immediately. Long before a bag gets scanned, it already speaks volumes. How you pack, how heavy it is, even what kind of luggage you use, all give subtle hints. A half-empty bag for an international flight might raise an eyebrow. A carry-on overloaded with oddly shaped objects might draw secondary inspection. There's also the pattern analysis side of this. TSA databases learn what combinations of items tend to appear in problem luggage, like dense electronics packed next to organic materials, which can mimic explosives on an X-ray. Officers have developed an almost artistic eye for these images. They can look at a screen for half a second and tell whether a bag is ordinary or worth a closer look. Believe it or not, many TSA agents compare this skill to reading a piece of modern art. You're not looking for what's there, but for what doesn't belong. Even after you've passed security, subtle observation continues. TSA collaborates with airline security and airport staff to keep an eye on passenger behavior at the gates. It's not surveillance paranoia, it's pattern recognition. Someone repeatedly switching seats, pacing near boarding doors, or intensely watching staff can prompt a quiet alert. And here's the thing most people don't realize. Security teams often monitor your phone posture, how you use your device. People making last-minute changes to their itinerary, deleting messages or avoiding phone activity altogether can flag behavioral interest. The system isn't foolproof, but it's fine-tuned for the human element, the fact that fear, deception, and stress all leak through body language. Behind the scenes, TSA compiles behavioral notes into what they call clusters. These clusters aren't personal records, they're data patterns that help improve algorithms for threat detection. So when an officer notices nervous body language, another notices inconsistent answers, and a third notes strange bag packing, that cluster may trigger a gentle second-tier inspection. It's a hybrid of human intuition and machine learning, a partnership between what technology sees and what trained eyes feel. That's how modern airport security keeps evolving, not just by upgrading scanners, but by upgrading people. You might wonder, how do these officers get so good at reading people? The answer lies in pattern memory. TSA officers review thousands of travelers every week. Over time, their brains subconsciously catalog what normal looks like, so even a small deviation triggers instinctive attention. This is called thin slicing, a psychology term for making accurate judgments from minimal information. It's the same ability that lets firefighters sense danger before seeing flames, or poker players feel when an opponent is bluffing. So when an officer stops you for a bag recheck, it's not luck. It's their subconscious recognizing a deviation your conscious mind would never spot. At its core, airport security is about reading trust signals. Are you relaxed, congruent, and predictable, or are your words and body in conflict? Interestingly, travelers who try to look overly friendly sometimes raise more questions than those who are simply quiet. That's because authentic comfort comes from consistency, not charm. The eyes, the hands, the tone, the timing, they all synchronize when someone's being genuine. When they don't, trained officers feel that disconnect instantly. In a way, TSA's most powerful tool isn't technology at all, it's the timeless human ability to read another human's truth. Step back for a second. Every glance, every scan, every conversation at the airport forms part of a global network of vigilance. From New York to Nairobi, London to Lagos, airports share data patterns that keep travelers safe. The things TSA officers notice aren't about invading privacy. They're about finding the tiny threads that could unravel disaster before it happens. And if you think about it, that vigilance protects not just the flight, but the thousands of families waiting for their loved ones to land safely. Now, here's the twist. The TSA mindset can actually make you a smarter traveler. Next time you fly, notice your own habits, stay calm, organized, and self-aware. Be confident, but natural. Understanding what TSA notices helps you move through airports faster and with less stress. Because, when you look like you belong, the system works with you, not against you. At the end of the day, TSA officers are people too. They notice your kindness, your patience, and even your exhaustion from that red-eye flight. They've seen every version of humanity, from the nervous first-time flyer to the frequent traveler who could walk the terminal blindfolded. Their job is a paradox: to stay alert for danger while still treating millions of strangers with respect. And while they may appear stoic, many of them quietly appreciate a simple smile or a calm "thank you." Because beyond all the scanners, the questions, and the systems, it's still one human being keeping another safe in the sky. So the next time you remove your shoes, show your ID, or place your bag on that conveyor belt, remember, there's more happening in those few minutes than you'll ever see. Every movement, every glance, every hesitation tells a story, and the people reading that story, the TSA officers, are the silent guardians ensuring your journey ends just as it should. Safe, uneventful, and back among the clouds. What TSA officers instantly notice about you before you fly, it's more than a list. It's a glimpse into how safety, psychology, and humanity intertwine every time we take to the skies.